If you like to enjoy Japan's outdoors, you should be aware that some authorities have issued guidelines about how to enjoy the outdoors in a way that they hope will prevent any further outbreak or spread of the new coronavirus. On the same day that Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe declared an end to the state of emergency in Tokyo and the remaining prefectures of Japan, 4 mountain and climbing associations issued a statement which included guidelines for mountaineers and climbers. As far as we can see, these guidelines were only published in Japanese, but you can find our translation of them in an article on CityCost. We'll leave a link for that in the description below this video. The 8 guidelines begin with the associations asking climbers to start slowly, taking day trips, limiting them to within around 100 kilometers, and staying within the prefecture of origin. Mountain users are also encouraged to wear face masks, keep their social distance, limit groups to no more than 5 people when visiting the mountains, and refrain from lingering in the locality at the end of a trek or after descending from the mountain, among other measures. Despite the lifting of the coronavirus emergency across all of Japan, Mount Fuji, as far as we're aware, still remains closed during this summer's climbing season. During the state of emergency, TV crews in Kanto regularly shot footage of the beaches west of Tokyo to see how crowded the sands and the waters were. It's as if this area was being used as a barometer to see how self-restrained we were being. Now, if you'd have seen the images of these beaches the weekend prior to the lifting of the state of emergency in Tokyo and those remaining prefectures, you'll have noticed that the waters looked pretty crowded with surfers. On May 26th, the day after the lifting of the state of emergency, the Nippon Surfing Association issued their own guidelines for surfers in Japan. These new surfing rules, as they have been called, focus largely on time spent in the beachfront parking lots before and after surfing, rather than time spent in the water itself. Again, we've included our own translation of these guidelines in the article on CityCost, which you can find a link to in the description below. But the guidelines are mostly common sense, and they've got some pictures which really tell their own story. This one here is asking us to go to the beach alone or in a party of a few people, keeping the numbers down to a minimum. Here we're being asked to not sort of hang around before and after surfing on the beach or in the car parks. So essentially the message is you turn up, you get changed, you surf, you get changed again, and then you go. You don't hang around. Here we're being asked to stay at home basically if we're feeling unwell, and to do our best to avoid any accidents or injuries. Outside of the water, use a mask, wash your hands regularly. In the water, avoid surfing at those busy times or avoid surfing those busy breaks. And we're also being asked to keep our social distance in the water whilst we're surfing. Now over here, no matter how good your surf session might have been or how great that wave might have felt, they're asking us to avoid doing those fist bumps. And then in the local area, around the beach breaks, around the surf breaks, be careful when we're visiting local shops, keep your social distance again, and use those alcohols at the store entrance. You can find these guidelines on the website of the Nippon Surfing Association, and we'll include a link in the description below. Believe it or not, I surfed the beaches of Chiba. To the best of my understanding, the beachfront car parks along the coast of Chiba reopened on May 28th. The following Sunday, I went surfing. I arrived at the car park around 5:15 in the morning, and it was much busier than it would normally have been at this time of year, I think. I'd say there was around about 30 cars already parked up, and most of them were surfers. Now, I'd expect this situation to calm a little bit. I think it was just surfers kind of chomping at the bit to get out and hit the water after 2 months of self-restraint. So I'd expect things to calm down a little, but it was still busier than usual. Just as a side note to end this video, you should be wary of any headlines that you might see out there declaring that the beaches of Shonan, those are those beaches around Enoshima, Kamakura, Chigasaki, west of Tokyo. Just watch out if you see any headlines declaring that those beaches are closed. To our understanding, you can't literally close the beach and prevent access to them, but it looks like lifeguarding services, first aid huts may not be available. And those famous temporary beach bars and restaurants that get built up on the sands over there, it looks like they might not be there this summer. So keep an eye on that situation if you're planning on heading down there this year. Kind of related to this theme of enjoying the outdoors in Japan, Over on the top page of City Cost, you can find our POP survey where we're asking the question, how keen are you to travel for leisure in Japan right now as opposed to later in the year? You've got 6 options to choose from. Click on one of those and you can see the results of the survey so far. Just be aware that local authorities across Japan might have issued their own guidelines about how they want people to enjoy or not enjoy their natural environments, the mountains, the beaches, whatever it may be. So wherever it is you plan to enjoy the outdoors in the next few months, be sure to check up on those guidelines. In the meantime, if you like this video, click on that thumbs up button and definitely subscribe to the channel.